In this video, we're going to be taking another cheeky look at Cardano and some absolutely massive news that has come out for the Cardano ecosystem. We're going to get into all of that good stuff. So guys, if you do find it useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with those new cryptocurrencies, the hidden gems, the technical analysis and news, then do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free, you'll stay well informed, so why not? If you hit the bell, tap on all, you won't miss a single video. Right, Chris, with all that said, done, is there anything else you want to add before we jump on down and really get into this fantastic news for Cardano, get into the technical analysis as well, and give everyone a bit of an update on what's going on with ADA's price?
Yeah, so I guess one thing to obviously mention for those of you that are unsure or didn't realize, we are actually validators for Cardano. So we do run a pool. The ticker is CHEEK. We have 1,220 unique delegators with over 14.5 million ADA delegated already. The pool's doing phenomenally well, and we've got another great epoch ahead, which will be above average returns. The average returns for a pool is about 5.5% APY. Currently, we're performing at 5.95% APY. So just above average. We do expect it to level out at some point, but you know, it's a great way of making a passive income. So if you're not delegating your ADA already, or you're in a pool that's getting close to saturation, why not jump in our pool with the ticker CHEEK?
Fantastic. Right, guys, with that said, let's jump on down and get into exactly what's going on here with Cardano.
Let's do it.
Okay, guys, to start with, we've got Cardano successfully releases a crucial update to begin the smart contract era. Let's get into this and see exactly what is going on with this fantastic news. Let's just scroll down. Right, so we have input output Hong Kong, or what is now known as IOG, input output Global, is unveiling that the fifth largest cryptocurrency has reached an important milestone that signals the beginning of Cardano's smart contract era. So in a tweet, the Cardano developer tells its 130,000 followers, it has successfully released the second iteration of Alonzo Blue to the testnet. This is absolutely fantastic milestone, guys, because we are expecting Alonzo to reach the mainnet by the end of July, beginning of August, and we'll see all that smart contract functionality. Right, so here's the tweet. We obviously have, let's go. We are happy to share that we have just released a brand new version of the Cardano node, version Alonzo Blue 2.0 to the testnet. This is an important milestone. Thanks and congrats to all the Alonzo Blue team for the hard work to bring us here, Cardano ADA. Now, this is fantastic news, guys. It does put us one step closer to reaching the mainnet and ultimately all that kind of smart contract functionality that people will be able to leverage and utilize. And we've spoken about this on many different occasions. We're talking about Marlowe and the tool sets that are going to be readily available to all the developers in this space, ultimately for those smart contracts and that smart contract templating system. We're going to start seeing a lot more dApps be built. We're going to see some dApps being ported over and businesses moving from Ethereum over to Cardano once this gets across the line. So this is a fantastic milestone that's been achieved here. So according to IOHK or IOG, the release comes with key updates that would serve as building blocks for Cardano's smart contract development. So it is still early code. This release brings with it the important CLI command line interface upgrade, providing the foundations to build all varieties of smart contract applications further down the line. Smart transactions enable a user to associate transaction metadata on-chain and store executable contract data. This opens up the smart contracts era on Cardano for our first SPOs, our state pool operators, and pioneers to start sending and testing simple smart transactions to the ledger via the node. So Alonzo Blue SPOs now have 24 hours to update their nodes before running their first test scripts tomorrow. And I think this is actually a couple days old, so they would have already done this, and it's fantastic to hopefully we'll start seeing some new information come out of this to see how those tests were going, if any problems were uncovered, if any bugs need to be kind of debugged and things like that. So right now we're obviously waiting for that information to come through, but it looks like everything was kind of going to plan ahead as scheduled there, which is fantastic. So Alonzo Blue is the first of 3 development stages geared towards the launch of Cardano's smart contract capabilities. The second stage is Alonzo White, followed by Alonzo Purple. 𝗖𝗢𝗪𝗓 has previously disclosed a 90-day roadmap that details the progression of Cardano's much-awaited functionality. So it's a 30, 60, 90-day plan, which was actually means it. Start that sentence again. What this actually means is that you start off with blue, with a little smaller, more tight knit. We start off with the basic kind of functionality, which brings new pioneers, new SPOs on, and we start rolling then and there. We move on to Alonzo White, where we now cast a little bit wider net and bring in more partners, and now you can start running more performance benchmarks and things of that nature. The white rolls out into purple, which is now fully public. We're talking about every pioneer. We're talking about almost most SPOs, if not all SPOs, and we're talking about exchanges. And it's at this stage we're really ready to go. Once you get there, get to the purple stage, we are pretty much close to the hard fork combinator event within that 30, 60, 90-day window, from start to blue, ending with purple. So this is a fantastic kind of roadmap and understanding of where things are likely to go when it comes to Cardano's smart contracts and seeing that actually reach the mainnet. So this is fantastic to see that we're getting there step by step, moving closer, and ushering in the smart contracts that are so very much needed. Now, obviously, that brings a close to the Cardano smart contract update, but there is obviously an additional piece of news that's kind of just come out today. This is where Charles Hoskinson is trashing Bitcoin and urging Elon Musk to take a look into Cardano. And this is an interesting piece because I'm not sure we really want Elon Musk in this space, specifically around Cardano. Obviously, he can help bring in a bigger community, but we can see what he has done with both Doge and obviously Bitcoin. You're not sure necessarily want to invite him into the Cardano world, but nonetheless, Charles Hoskinson here is doing just that. So Charles Hoskinson was never a big fan of Dogecoin, right, and has criticized Bitcoin as well once or twice in the past. In a recent interview, the Cardano creator went on all out on his criticism against the two, trashing Bitcoin for its energy use and lack of programmability, and Doge for simply having no purpose. Hoskinson believes that Elon Musk should look into Cardano if he is serious about his role in combating climate change as the Tesla CEO. So again, that would be an interesting thing if Elon Musk actually wants to or cares about climate change, which if anyone digs into Elon Musk, you might come across some counter information there. But ultimately, Hoskinson appeared to be vastly popular, or appeared in the vastly popular Lex Friedman podcast. His appearance came just a week after Vitalik Buterin's. This is the Ethereum co-founder, for those who are not familiar. And in his interview, Buterin did talk about several issues in the crypto industry, taking time to talk about Cardano, saying that his views on it's a great project. Hoskinson, what the hell is the point of Bitcoin? This is kind of how the interview kind of goes, right? So in his interview, Hoskinson addresses a number of issues, including Doge, Elon Musk, Jack Dorsey's Bitcoin involvement and failures of Bitcoin, Chainlink, and Oracle networks, and more, right? So on the Tesla, with Bitcoin scenario here, if they truly cared about alternative energy and sustainability, carbon reduction and carbon neutrality, you can't be in a system where there's no built-in mechanism to constrain energy consumption. So this is obviously what Charles Hoskinson is referring to, kind of combating against that whole Bitcoin and Tesla kind of scenario. Now, Bitcoin supporters have claimed that there are lots of wasted energy on the grid that can be directly towards, or can be directed towards crypto. Hoskinson tore into Bitcoin even more throughout the interview, and at one point describing it as similar to a guy who was a football star in high school but is now washed up with a beer belly. He believes that Bitcoin has no place in the future of cryptos. The only reason it still exists today is that billions of dollars have been poured into it and people are protecting their investments. There's nothing about it that's particularly desirable. You have to upgrade the damn thing. And he's not wrong, he's not right. I think this is an interesting argument. I think Bitcoin has an interesting use case. It's kind of evolved over time. It's far beyond what it was actually designed for. It's now, at least in my opinion, an area for storing wealth, and that's kind of what it's evolved into. It's not something that you generally want to be using for transaction purposes. There's obviously much better solutions now for this. And again, I am aligned to Charles Hoskinson's thinking in some regards, in the fact that it's very old technology that hasn't actually been keeping up with the times. And obviously, being decentralized the way it is, that's not an easy thing to do. It's not easy to change. This is why you see hard forks and different projects spinning off from the original code, all trying to fix certain issues. Unfortunately, the community can never seem to agree on a single route or a single path, and that's where you get these hard forks, right? And ultimately, I think, he's right about the fact that it hasn't been keeping up to date. It is old technology, and it really doesn't have a good, strong position in the future, other than being a store of value, a digital gold, if you will, or something to that effect. So again, an interesting piece here from Charles Hoskinson, talking about Elon Musk, talking about Bitcoin, talking about Cardano and all that kind of good stuff. Now, obviously, it's time to get into what's going on in terms of Cardano's ADA, right? So obviously, we take a look at that general fear and greed index. And with this fear and greed index, we can see that actually we've gone down a little bit from yesterday. So yesterday we had a rating of 33. We're at 26 today, so a little bit of a decrease. And again, this is the generalized fear and greed index, so it's only useful to kind of give you a bit of an overview of the entire crypto space. If we jump over to advice.io and we load up the Cardano ADA chart here, we can actually have a look at the 𝗖𝗢 rating C1 for Cardano as a whole. If we scroll down to some of these power factors, these are the power factors that we'd like to look at here at Cheeky Crypto. We obviously have the fear and greed index that's specific to Cardano's ADA. Now, during Bitcoin's main crash, Cardano really wasn't susceptible to much fear at all. It was actually doing pretty much the opposite of many of these other cryptocurrencies. It was actually performing very, very well from a fear and greed index perspective. This has actually now changed. We can see Bitcoin potentially having a bit of a bump to the upside, but Cardano here has actually fallen down to the downside here. So there's a little bit more fear when it comes to Cardano. I think there's lots of FUD and things like that going on in the space. And ultimately, I do think this is going to dramatically change come the end of July, beginning of August, once that smart contract functionality does actually reach the mainnet. We're going to start seeing some really interesting stuff go on with this fear and greed index, the moving averages, the Sharpe ratio, and all that kind of good stuff. So right now, the fear and greed index is D, but I would imagine this thing is going to rise rapidly up towards an A rating by the time we actually get that smart contract functionality hit the mainnet. Now, with that being said, moving averages is up at C2. And we do have the Sharpe ratio at grade D, which means there's a risk to rewards. We can obviously see how we were trading this red line. We actually fell below it a little bit. We were actually doing a pretty good job at getting recovery here, but recently it has had a bit of a fall off in the late May. And again, that risk to rewards is still there. But I do believe that long-term vision here is going to be absolutely crucial. And we'll get into the charts for Cardano's ADA in a moment to give you an idea and a bit of a flavor as to where things are likely to go in the short term as well as the longer term. Now, obviously, profitability and return on investment still an A1 rating, the best that you can get. So this artificial intelligence rating here has basically looked at everything and actually said the profitability for Cardano's ADA is absolutely stellar. It's absolutely fantastic. A1 rating. Now, there are still liquidity issues. We can see this with the 𝗕𝗓 ratio down at the bottom here. And again, this is rated D, and so there are issues with liquidity. And again, this is quite consistent across many of the cryptocurrencies at the moment. And again, these two kind of power factors here, the fear and greed index, along with that 𝗕𝗓 ratio, are seriously affecting that Sharpe ratio as well. So until that sentiment in the market really changes and people are able to actually have a cryptocurrency that's a little bit more liquid than they have done previously, you'll start seeing the return to the ratio, the Sharpe ratio, and that risk to rewards will start to look a little bit better. But in terms of that, the big takeaways here, guys, are that the peak end value demands at B2 rating. We've got a return on investment up at an A1 rating, and those moving averages are in the C2 rating area. So things are not too bad. There's a few areas that are sentiment mainly, very emotional market in terms of fear and greed, and there are some liquidity issues. And again, that's very, very consistent across the entire crypto space. Now, with that being said, let's just quickly have a look at this. This is obviously the Bitcoin dominance chart. It's always good to understand where we are in the cycle. And again, my expectations for this was to always increase up towards that 50% area. So I'm just going to quickly mark that on here. And again, what we're looking for is this area, right? So ultimately what you see here is Bitcoin's dominance in 2017 dropping down, reaching about 37, I think it was. Let me just mark that. Get the right line. Let me just grab hold of this. So we have marked that up at 37. So we actually dropped down to 39 this time round in 2021. And again, my expectations are that we'll slowly be increasing up towards the 50% dominance level. There might be a couple of blips on that radar, and we may actually increase up towards the 60% area. And this is just my expectations and considering where things were previously, right? And considering the number of cryptocurrencies that we now have available, my expectations are that we'll go first to 50. We might find some resistance there. The altcoins might get some traction. Bitcoin might go off on a bit of a run and actually increase its dominance, bring in Bitcoin's dominance up to 60% before everything going parabolic from an altcoin perspective, bringing Bitcoin's dominance down towards the 30% level. And this is what you can kind of see from that lower level here. And again, I'll just mark that up with a line here. So you can see that the expectations are that actually will drop down to 30% during this parabolic run that you saw over here in 2017, 2018. So again, first wave, big shakeout event. Everyone thinks the bull market is over, which it is not. It continues to grow up and then pulls right back down as all those altcoins go parabolic. So it's good to understand where we are in the cycle. We're not going to talk about the stock to flow model, but again, this also indicates exactly where we are in the cycle as well. But let's get into this. This is the bigger macro piece, right? This is Cardano's ADA. This is to the USDT. We're using Binance as a daily data source here. This is actually the weekly view. So the weekly view gives you a good idea as to how that big macro picture is building. And when it comes to Cardano's ADA here, we can obviously see that our 5 clear waves, and wave 5 does put this thing up between $7.20 and $10. But again, this technical data, this technical analysis is only based on what is actually happening within the current ecosystem. It doesn't take into consideration anything that is new. Okay, so once we get that new functionality for smart contracts roll out onto the mainnet, this is where we'll start seeing some interesting stuff actually happen to the technical data here. And it could actually put Cardano much higher and above and beyond that of $7.20 or even $10. It could see something like 15, 20, maybe higher, who knows. We'll have to see what happens once that functionality actually hits the mainnet, and we'll have some decent data to analyze. Right now on this weekly chart, you can see what the expectations are with the Fibonacci extension level of the 4.236 area showing us $7.20. And again, I've marked on here $10, $15, and $20 ranges as a bit of an expectation as to what might happen going further forward. Now, what we're going to do is just pull this down into our daily view. And here we can see a little bit more of the detail of what has been going on recently. We can obviously see lots of pieces of data, lots of candles, and the move to the downside, the correction to the upside, and actually, you know, finding resistance up here at $1.83, getting pulled down a little bit here, finding good areas of support at about $1.48, which is funny enough where we're currently right about now, so $1.49 at the point of recording this video. Again, we're having a bit of a battle. There's a small time resistance at $1.50, and that's more of a psychological barrier, I feel. Ultimately, I think once we get past all of this, we're going to be in a pretty good, strong position to move to the upside. And again, there's lots of little trend lines that could be drawn on here. If we actually drop this down into our hourly view, these actually start to appear on the chart here. So you can see what's actually been going on when it comes to Cardano's ADA. Let me just get this in the view here. So we obviously have that downward trend. We can kind of see that one forming there. We obviously had this upward trend from the downside forming up the top side here. Now, obviously we had that breakout event that we reported on the other day. And we found this new channel where we were channeling in here, trading sideways between these key areas of 158 and obviously 148. So we're in that kind of zone. Right now, we can obviously see what's going on with our relative strength index as well, right? So our relative strength index is being very, very low. It's almost been oversold. And we are pulling right back now. Again, this is likely to get a reversal shortly. So we're going to see Cardano's price actually move back up to the upside shortly. And again, we'll probably, depending on what the sentiment is like, depending on what the volume, right now we obviously know it's quite fearful. But during this correction to the downside here, we can see there's only really one spike of selling volume. Otherwise, the volumes are actually decreasing. And what we're looking for is a spike of good buying volume. And we want to see that steadily increase by the hour to have that sentiment change. So again, my expectations here are that we actually will move the price of ADA back up again as we approach our oversold area on the relative strength index. And the key here is going to be to increase in that volume every hour, and it has to be good purchasing volume on that. So once you start seeing that, that's when you have a little bit more confidence in the sentiment change. But right now things haven't changed, and that sentiment is very much aligned to what we're talking about here within our fear and greed index. So it's a grade D, or rating of D, and that is represented when you look at this and you can see what's going on with our volumes. Okay, so right now the expectations are that we will get a bounce from here, we will move back to the upside, we'll have that theoretical limit up about $1.50, we can see that around here, and obviously up at this upper limit here as well, 158. So again, we're looking to kind of, you know, consistently kind of trade within here until the sentiment changes a little bit. But once that happens, we should be in a pretty good, strong position. The other thing that we can obviously note here is there are some upward trend lines forming. Whether these are going to be something that we're going to continue to see, obviously we're going to get a bounce from this one here. We're going to see that happen. So we are going to move to the upside in terms of this section here. The question that you really have is this going to be something that's going to be sustainable long term when we have a correction to the downside? We're going to test this trend line. And if this trend line is strong enough to actually hold and support us, then actually we're going to be finding ourselves within a triangular wedge here. And this triangular wedge is going to be our upper resistance line and our upward trend line. And ultimately something would have had to have happened by the 20th of June in this scenario, a breakout event to the upside or a breakdown to the downside, depending on which one of these is stronger. So again, we'll leave that on there for now. We'll see if that one plays out. And the expectations right now are that we'll start to see a bit of a bump in Cardano ADA's price on the short term. And obviously we'll see if we get that breakout anytime soon. But again, guys, it's always important to make sure that we're fully aware of what's actually going on that longer term piece, right? And regardless to what is going on those shorter time stamps, the expectations are that Cardano's ADA's price is going to be moving to the upside. We, at least in my opinion, not financial advice, as I'm not a financial advisor, nor is Chris, but my opinion is that Cardano's ADA is in wave 4, and we will be moving out of wave 4 into wave 5, where we'll be going after $7.20 or even $10 during this cycle. It may go above and beyond this. This is unknown yet, though. In due course, we'll find out how that one is performing. But right now, you know, the short term, it looks a little bit bleak, but when you zoom out, if you're in doubt, you'll find that actually things are not looking that bad. Now, Chris, we've been through quite a bit of technical information here. We've obviously been through some news regarding, you know, smart contract functionality, what Charles Hoskinson's been saying about Bitcoin and Doge and things like that. We've also taken a look at a lot of technical data from fear and greed through to liquidity issues. We've taken a look at the bigger picture of where Cardano is likely to go, and also, you know, ultimately, you know, what the short-term outlook is looking like. It looks like we're going to be trading between two key areas for quite some time, at least from the smaller scale point of view. But is there anything else that you kind of want to add, you know, for Cardano, or leave the viewers with today?
Well, you know, it's a great project. It's going to do phenomenally well, and you know, I guess people just have to be a little bit patient. And you know, people have been patient for a long time, but if you're new in this space, and obviously it's a little bit scary when you see a big crash like what we've seen. Lots of FUD in the space as well about bear market and all that sort of stuff, but I'm not going to sort of really get into that. But you know, from the members side of things for the channel, we're going to start to really look at some of these projects that are going to be on the Cardano ecosystem. You can check out the interview that we did with 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, so Marcelo. Great interview, really interesting to see what's in the pipeline, and obviously that's going to be part of the Cardano ecosystem also. So yeah, do check that out if you haven't seen it. We dropped that one earlier today. Fantastic interview, and lots of really exciting things to talk about. We've had World Mobile, they've started their vault. So all this stuff around Cardano, it is really magical.
Fantastic, guys. If you found this video useful and informative, do go ahead and hit that like button. We both really do appreciate it. And of course, if you happen to be new to the channel and you'd like to stay up to date with those cryptocurrencies, those new hidden gems, technical analysis and news, then do go ahead and subscribe. By subscribing, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything we do here. It is free, you'll stay well informed, so why not? With that said, done and out of the way, guys, we hope you have a fantastic day, and we'll catch you in the next one.
Yeah, take care.